1. Signing Edge to AEW was not a great decision because his presence does very little to sell tickets or boost the ratings. 2. Signing Ric Flair to AEW in a multi-year deal doesn't make any sense considering he's almost 75 years old and brings very little value to the product. It also doesn't help that he has a very shady past. 3. Tony Khan chastised Vince McMahon for being a sexual abuser, but then signs Ric Flair, who also has been outed as a sexual abuser, to AEW. This is selective morality. 4. Tony Khan banned Hulk Hogan from AEW due to his racist past, but then allows Sabu to be on AEW TV, even though he has said some very racist things. 5. Allowing Paul White to be a physical threat on AEW doesn't make sense because the man can barely move anymore. He looks like he's permanently doing the stanky leg. 6. Signing Jeff Hardy to AEW was not the greatest move. He has proved to be more of a liability through his DUI arrest, and he doesn't move the needle like how he used to. 7. Over-relying on older stars is a common thing in AEW as there's a constant presence and emphasis on stars that are over 50 years old. 8. Letting CM Punk go was a big mistake as ratings are now low and AEW is struggling to sell tickets. 9. AEW is very disorganized, as seen with them not having a ride ready for their biggest star CM Punk for All In London, forcing him to find his way to the stadium in a foreign country. 10. Tony Khan is afraid to hand his big stars losses, so he books his big stars conservatively, which is a problem. 11. Tony Khan's rants on Twitter are quite honestly embarrassing and he seems more like a petulant child crying on the internet because he doesn't get his way. 12. Fellow YouTuber and AEW fan Tranquilo Club revealed that Tony Khan reached out to him to get booking advice. This is the problem with Tony Khan. 13. Tony Khan's huge announcements are getting out of hand. Some of the stuff that he announces can just be tweeted out. 14. Tony Khan can't get a hold of his talent. This is seen with the many backstage fights in AEW. 15. Tony Khan is too nice and wants to be one of the boys so bad. This results in people taking advantage of him. 16. AEW lied about the All-In Wembley attendance. They said that the attendance was over 80,000, while the English government said that the attendance was around 72,000. Very WWE move. 17. 3 shows is way too many shows. Everything besides Dynamite doesn't feel like necessary viewing, besides Collision once in a while. 18. AEW's crowds are getting emptier by the show. 19. On top of the empty crowds, the crowds are much quieter in comparison to the AEW between 2019 and 2021. 20. AEW tours in the same places constantly and it wears off the novelty of AEW in these cities. 21. AEW's ticket prices are quite high considering their product isn't that hot. They've reduced their prices but it's still a problem. 22. AEW ratings have been suffering in 2023 and it's just getting worse. 23. When AEW and NXT went head-to-head in October of 2023, NXT beat AEW in the ratings. Granted, NXT had a very stacked card with top stars, it's still embarrassing for AEW. 24. AEW haven't hit 1 million viewers on Dynamite since February of 2023, and it doesn't look like that will change for a while. 25. Battle of the Belts episodes are a flop. Title changes rarely ever happen and it tanks in the ratings. 26. AEW are moving to monthly pay-per-views, which isn't a bad thing, but $50 a month for a pay-per-view is outrageous, considering WWE does the same but for $10 a month. 27. AEW still don't have a streaming service like the WWE network, even though Tony Khan has promised it for years. 28. Storylines in AEW are lacking and not good enough. 29. Booking has no continuity. Stars get a push then disappear for weeks on end, thus diminishing their momentum. 30. Tony Khan booked Kenny Omega vs MJF on 3 days notice on free TV in front of 3,500 fans and 470,000 viewers on TV. AEW could have made much more money from this match, but Tony Khan was booking just to pop a rating. 31. The booking of the women's division has been a problem in AEW since day one, and it's basically the same to this day. 32. The women of AEW don't have enough TV time to tell stories or cut promos, and this affects the division negatively. 33. The women's division has so much drama backstage. There's so much bullying and politicking, and that is detrimental to the division. 34. Tony Khan is afraid to lean into real life. Vince McMahon would have taken full advantage of the All-In fight with Jack Perry and CM Punk, and would have probably played the footage of the fight on TV and turned it into a storyline, but instead, Tony Khan just fired his biggest star, CM Punk. 35. There's too much of a presence of Ring of Honor on AEW TV, considering that a large majority of the AEW fanbase doesn't watch ROH. 36. The whole interim champion thing is a mess. 37. The booking of the TNT title has been a mess. Before Christian Cage got the title had diminished in significance. 38. Getting rid of the ranking system was a mistake because it progressed storylines and made booking sense. 39. Tony Khan could benefit from having a creative team or someone qualified to help him with creative in order to add good storylines to matches. 40. AEW doesn't hold production meetings in fear of things leaking before the show, even though this is a prerequisite to put on a good TV show. And that's why there's so many production issues with AEW on TV when watching live. 41. Wrestling is supposed to be a circus. There's not enough freaks and too many guys in top positions of AEW that look like regular people. 42. There's too many dream matches in AEW and not enough story-driven matches. 43. There's a massive focus on putting on good wrestling matches, which is fair, but it's not the key to growing an audience. 44. There's a lot of fast food wrestling in AEW, filled with insane spots designed to give the viewers a dopamine rush, but is ultimately forgettable. Filet mignon wrestling is what is needed. 45. There's no performance center in AEW, and fans can tell. There's way too many botches in AEW. 46. The over-reliance on hardcore gimmick matches is a massive problem in AEW, and quite frankly, there's just too much blood. 47. Jon Moxley bleeds way too much. Almost every single match he wrestles in, he bleeds. This wears off the novelty and shock factor of blood. 48. AEW matches are too unsafe. You have wrestlers flip-flop flying and almost dying just to get a pop from the fans, which is unsustainable in the long run. 49. Due to this dangerous way of wrestling, there have been way too many injuries in AEW, which hurts the product. 50. The concussion protocol is seriously lacking. You know it's bad when one of your top stars, Jon Moxley, is calling out the concussion protocol in AEW. 51. Bryan Danielson is a major asset in AEW, but he's fragile due to his injury-laden past. AEW have allowed him to do whatever he wants, and that's why he's had so many injuries in AEW. 52. AEW allowed Bryan Danielson to wrestle even though he had 2 fractured orbital bones, which is unacceptable. 53. Darby Allin takes insane bumps, which is awesome and all, but this sort of recklessness is what could land him in a wheelchair by the time he's 50. AEW needs to protect wrestlers from themselves. 54. Even though Darby Allin is injured, he's still allowed to do death-defying stunts elsewhere, and this could seriously hurt him, which could be bad for AEW. 55. AEW even allowed Darby Allin to get a face tattoo. While this is sick on the surface, it ruins all chances for him to become a megastar in AEW. You can't have someone be the biggest star and marketer of your product with a face tattoo. Advertisers won't allow this. 56. MJF used to wrestle once or twice a month, but nowadays in AEW he wrestles 4 to 5 times a month. This overexposes him and wears the special aura of MJF away. 57. Allowing MJF to hype up his contract ending and him potentially going to WWE is a bad look. It makes AEW look like the little leagues. 58. It's not only MJF who buries AEW publicly, but other wrestlers do this too, and it just makes AEW look really bad. 59. Letting Cody Rhodes go was a big mistake as it left a massive hole in AEW. When Cody Rhodes left, it was the beginning of the end for AEW. 60. Letting Jade Cargill go was a big mistake, seeing how she's been treated like a superstar in WWE. Tony Khan should have thrown whatever amount of money she wanted so that she could stay. 61. Not signing Dragon Lee was unfortunate, but it highlights the problem of AEW giving one-off appearances to talent just to put them on WWE's radar so that they can sign them. The same thing happened with Cora Jade. 62. It's been reported that the AEW Fight Forever video game took about $40 million to develop. Everyone played the game for a few weeks and then dropped it because of its issues. It's now on sale for almost half the price it was at the launch date. It looks like the game is a flop and is not profitable. 63. The whole WWE diehards vs AEW diehards thing is kinda cringe on both sides, but the problem with AEW diehards is that the second you criticize the product, it's like you've attacked them personally. I know because I used to be like this until I snapped out of it. 64. The New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW working relationship is one-sided. New Japan gets most of the benefits of their working relationship. 65. Adding the Ring of Honor belts, 19 different wrestlers could have a belt on them at any given time in AEW, and that's not even considering all the New Japan belts and the indie belts that wrestlers are allowed to have on TV. 66. The tag team division used to be stacked, but now there's just a mid-tag team division and a mid-trios division. 67. This has been a problem since the early days of AEW and persists to this day. There's just too many factions in AEW. 68. AEW's booking of Wardlow has been questionable to say the least. He could have been a big star, but his momentum has been thwarted way too many times. 69. Keith Lee used to be a big star in WWE, but now he's just another guy in AEW. 70. Miro could have been a big star in AEW, especially with his Redeemer gimmick, but all the momentum with him has been lost due to poor booking. 71. Malachi Black could have also been a big star fighting for the TNT title and the world title, but he's been stuck in trios action for a while, and this is a problem. 72. Buddy Matthews is a killer, but he hasn't reached his potential in AEW due to him being stuck in House of Black. He was better in WWE. 73. Athena is doing some of the best work of her career in Ring of Honor, but she should be on the biggest stage of Dynamite to showcase her talents. 74. Andrade has been mishandled in AEW. He could have been one of the biggest Latino stars in wrestling, but poor booking has prevented this. 75. Action Andretti scored a big singles win over Chris Jericho, but AEW haven't followed up on him and now he's just another guy. 76. Only bringing out Abaddon to wrestle on Dynamite once per year around Halloween is ridiculous. Either fire her or feature her more. 77. Besides MJF, the rest of the 4 pillars are playing mainly side piece roles. It seems like the 4 pillars are there to hold up all the talent. 78. Watching anything to do with Matt Hardy is quite honestly painful. Get him off our TV screens. 79. Jeff Jarrett should not be featured on AEW as much as he is. He's a relic of the past that should stay in the past. 80. Katsuyori Shibata almost died in the ring a few years ago. There's a reason why New Japan don't allow him to wrestle for them. Something catastrophic could happen to him at any time, but AEW allows him to do whatever he wants. 81. Tony Khan is too afraid to fire wrestlers as he lets their contracts run out. He should be more ruthless in these matters. 82. Instead of firing their biggest star and draw CM Punk, AEW should have instead fired Jack Perry for the All-In London Brawl. AEW is a business at the end of the day, and Jack Perry doesn't draw like Punk. 83. AEW let Stu Grayson go, just to rehire him a few months later, and then let him sit at home and suck money from AEW. This is the problem. 84. Wrestlers are allowed to take too much time off from AEW, and this ultimately hurts the product. 85. Referees in AEW are almost non-existent. They are meant to enforce the rules, but they just let the wrestlers do whatever they want almost all the time. 86. Aubrey Edwards clearly has main character syndrome. She wants to be the center of attention so bad and get herself over, which is not what a referee is supposed to do. 87. The anti-Semitic storyline involving Juice Robinson and MJF was tasteless, considering 1,400 Jews were murdered by Hamas prior to that segment. 88. The bad acting in segments is just cringe at times. The whole segment with Nick Wayne's mom was not good. 89. 2 black men breaking into a white man's house in Virginia and cutting a promo on a baby that's unattended is so unrealistic that it's quite honestly ridiculous. 90. The Acclaimed are cool, but celebrating the 69th day of a title run is just plain silly. It feels kinda like a bad middle school joke at this point. Why would this incentivize viewers to tune in? 91. Even though their promo went off script and they began shooting, Edge calling Ricky Starks a vanilla midget version of The Rock is just too far. Comments like that can bury a young talent. 92. Powerhouse Hobbs' TNT title reign was largely forgettable due to bad booking, but AEW should have went all in on him because he could be a huge star for the future. 93. Excalibur speeding through announcements on commentary to the point that he's out of breath was amusing at first, but it just gets a bit ridiculous after a while. Give the man more time. 94. AEW has been in negotiation with Warner Brothers for a couple of months now for a new TV deal, but negotiations have been stalling due to AEW's recent slump. 95. AEW is not concerned with growing their audience, they are more concerned with pleasing their hardcore fanbase. 96. AEW have lost the revolutionary feel that they had in the early days of AEW, and it just feels like another wrestling show. 97. AEW are having an identity crisis. They used to be like NXT on steroids, but now they are a mix of late-stage WCW and 2010's TNA. 98. AEW is not the alternative anymore. They are conforming to the WWE way of doing things, and this is hurting them. 99. AEW is just not the same product that we all fell in love with. I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos, and also please like, share, comment, and subscribe. But anyway, goodbye.